Well, the state of New York has announced it will be suing Facebook, alleging breach of antitrust rules. In a lawsuit filed by the New York Attorney General, there are claims the social networking giant illegally acquired competitors in a predatory manner and cut services to smaller threats. Now, there are also recommendations that the company sells off Instagram and WhatsApp, which are also owned by the brand. Let's bring in my panel. Joining me now, the opinions editor of the Daily Telegraph and, of course, co-host of Sky News Outsiders, and former senior Australian Defence Force officer and new show too, The McGregor Angle, Kate McGregor. James, I'll start with you if I can. The Federal Trade Commission in particular seeking a permanent injunction in the federal court, causing the company to divest assets, Instagram, WhatsApp. I talked about all of that. This could effectively break up Facebook as we know it. A good thing?
I think it's a great thing. Frankly, I think these tech giants have gotten far too big, and they've gotten really almost to the point where they're out of control of governments, that they can start to influence news, influence elections even, the way that they've behaved to news providers. I mean, we've seen the cases in Australia and how they've finally been brought to book on that here by Josh Frydenberg, which is, again, excellent. There's a lot of parallels to this with how the phone company in the United States was broken up 30 or 40 years ago in my youth in the United States. And this is not going to be something that goes away with Trump, because not only New York State, but 47 other states, Democrat and Republican run alike, have joined this lawsuit. So this is very big problem for Facebook. And I think it's probably, in the long run, good news not just for the consumer, but also for society in general.
Antitrust for Australians is a bit like the ACCC, Catherine, and I guess the issue we have is for so long the internet's been an ungoverned space, and these companies have got bigger and bigger, and they've wiped out everybody else, and they've completely disrupted the world as we know it. But their reach, it goes into business, it goes into sort of military, espionage, the whole kit and caboodle, and the power they have is quite extraordinary.
They have become really monsters, basically, and James's point's well made. Antitrust legislation, a bit like racketeering, RICO legislation in the United States, really has teeth. So they're facing a serious problem here. This is not an ACCC inquiry with some recommendations and so on. This has the real capacity to force them to divest those platforms, and I think it's an untrammelled good thing as well. I think they're out of control. They've become a law unto themselves. The preposterous arrogance of their founders just is breathtaking, and they have the capacity to influence our society in very subtle ways. And I think anything that curbs their power and also paves the way for working journalists and news providers at a time when our industry is very fraught is also a good thing.